Today I'm making a bustier. As you can see here, I've drawn the pattern out, and it consists of 3 pieces for the back and front. I've taken my waist measurement and a rib cage, halved it, and then divided that by 3 and added a few centimeters on for seam allowance. And here's the piece. It's a bit longer or wider at the top. It's 16.5 at the waist and 17 around the ribs. And the height I've made 26 to be around 22 in its final stage. So I've cut that piece out of some paper, and I've cut 6 pieces for the lining, and I've used this satiny fabric. Oh, yes, that's very nice. You can stop waving it around now. And 6 pieces in that, and then we're going to sew them all together. So here's the first 3 and the first 3 of the satin, so the back and the front, and the back and the front in the lining fabric too. Here I'm folding the seams over themselves because what we're going to do is put some zip ties in there for the boning. So I've sewn a line down either side to make a channel so that we can insert the zip tie in there. And I've done that on both seams. And I've cut the zip tie and made the edges a bit smoother so that it doesn't rip. On the other piece, we're going to make some gaps for the cups. I've got this pre-arranged pattern here and cut it out, and on the lining piece as well. We're attaching down the same side of the lining pieces as the satin and overlocking the edges. And then I've attached it all together at the bottom, right sides together, making sure the front pieces are against each other. And once you flip that out the right way, which I'll manage to do at some point. And here we go. It's got a nicer seam down the bottom by flipping it out the right way. I'm going to put the zip ties in now, only on the satin fabric. So going in the front, struggling here without a third hand. And once we get that in, we're going to trim that off a little bit shorter because we don't want to go over that when we sew it together. And now we have those 2 bits in the front. I've also done a channel down the sides to add an extra bit of structure to the whole piece. So there are 6 zip ties in this fabric in total. Here's our cup pattern. I practiced it on a bit of scrap material and got the shape to be the way that I wanted it to be. And I'm using some padding to give support and structure to the cups. And you can see this is the practice piece that I folded over the cup just to make sure that it was right. So we have 2 cup pieces and then a strap, making sure you're cutting them all the same way for 4 of them and 2, and then flipping the pattern over and doing 4 and 2. I'm sewing all of the pieces together, making sure the shiny side of the fabric is against itself. And when you fold them out, it should look like that. The strap, or the piece that goes up the top, I've got to make some adjustments to the cup now though, because I want it to be more curved, and as you can see I have curved it. But I've attached that top piece to each cup, and now I'm putting 2 cups together at the top. So once it's folded out the right way, it looks something like that. And now I'm sewing it to the lining first. It just makes it a lot easier to do them separately. It's quite fiddly if you do it all at once, but of course you can choose to do that if you would like to. So I've just folded all of the edges of the cup space on the lining fabric onto the inside of the cups, so that all looks tidy from the inside. And now we're going to put it together properly by doing the same thing, but with the satin material. So you fold it in on itself, pin it onto the cup, and I'm going to re-sew, but this time through both, or all I should say. So you're getting the satin material, the cup, and the lining again. And there's the stitching all along the outside. The completion of the main part of this piece is folding the top in on itself. So here you can see I'm folding in the satin and the lining, and here's a better shot in the daytime of what the inside looks like. And I've sewn all the way across the top by doing what I showed you before, folding it in on itself. So it looks tidy from the outside, but it also looks tidy on the inside. I realized partway through that my idea of doing a zip on the side wouldn't work because I didn't have the appropriate zip that opened up fully. So I completed the whole piece without being able to get it on. There's no opening. So I'm going to take this zip off of something I made a long time ago and place that in the back. I'm finding where the center of the back is by measuring it all the way down, making some markings, and then marking a line connecting them. And I'm going to cut all the way through that. Now the arduous project of folding these in, both the satin and the lining in on itself, and then sandwiching the zip in between them. Took me quite a while to actually finish this off. I'd recommend ironing the fabric in on itself first and then putting the zip in between. It makes life a whole lot easier. Once I've managed to pin that in the correct place, I have sewn it, you can see there, and I've also done another line of stitching a little bit further away from the zip so I can slide a bit of zip tie in that channel, making the zip area a bit more structurally sound. And I've repeated the same thing on the other side. And we're done. I made a bustier similar to this about a year ago and made a lot of mistakes. I didn't know what I was doing, made my own pattern, but ever since then I've corrected a few mistakes that I made, and here we have a new one. It's not exactly perfect or exactly what I envisioned, but I'm pretty happy with it, and it is functional, and I can get it on, most importantly.